Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Delve In Talk Show. I'm your host, Loren Malloy, and this is my co-host, Jess. Jess, say hi to everybody.
Hi, how you doing?
We have a wonderful guest tonight, and before we start, please make sure you like the page, turn on the notifications so that when we go live, you are notified, and please, please, please share this video everywhere. But now, without further ado, Tom Conwell, welcome, sir. Very happy and honored to have you on the show.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. It should be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yes.
So, tell us a little bit about what you actually Okay, so tell us what you do. We're gonna start from there. What do you specialize in, or what are you most expert in?
All right. Well, I like to think that the one thing that I do the best is to deal with databases. That is to, like, if you have a whole lot of information on a computer screen, what I do is I like to look for patterns. I like to look for things that make the data recognizable in more ways than one. And I've done that with UFO sightings, and that's been interesting.
So do tell us, because forensic pattern research is a very difficult thing to be able to keep it all together. So it shows that you're absolutely brilliant. But the fact that you also deal with UFOs, can you explain a little bit about how you even got into ufology?
Okay. Well, I've always been interested in UFOs from the time that I was a kid, I guess. My aunt, my mom's sister, was the secretary of the Astronomical Association of America. And it really got me interested in astronomy and things along these lines. So I've always had an interest in that regard. But UFOs have always been at the top of my mind. The very first book that I ever read was about UFOs.
Really? Can
Yeah.
you tell us, do you remember the name of the very first book? Was it like a kid's picture book with UFOs in it?
No.
Couldn't help myself.
I think the name of the book was UFOs Are Real.
Ooh.
And it was written by Major Donald Kehoe.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's a big guy in the origin of talking about UFOs, where they came from, and he was also in the military at the time, and tried to get people to think more in terms of UFOs and things along these lines.
So. Oh, wow. All right. Very cool. Jess, I know you got questions. She loves anything to do with UFOs and aliens. So the minute I heard you were available, I was like, oh, please, oh, please. She's going to be so excited to be able to speak with you about topics like this.
Okay.
Yes. So do you have experience with just UFO sightings, or have you been in actual contact? What is that? Of the fifth kind? Contact.
I see what you're asking. Okay, that's how it started. It started with researching the databases of UFOs. That's from the National UFO Reporting Center. There's about 80,000, 85,000 sightings.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like from just America, or like all over the world?
No, it's just the U.S.
Wow.
Oh my God! Wait, say the number again.
85,000.
That's a huge freaking number. Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Actually, there's probably even more at this point. But let's see what your question was about UFOs. And,
like, how did you get to it in the first place? Was it like an abductee moment, or was it more like I saw something in the sky?
Okay. All right. Well, actually, both. I was never abducted, but I started doing the research. And I did the research for only one reason at that point. What I wanted to do was find things to talk about, because I love to give talks to people. That was like really interesting to me. And so I started doing research on the National UFO Reporting Center. It's broken down by states. And I started doing research within New York State. And just pretty much looking for unusual things that I can talk about. And then I was about 2/3 of the way through there. And I started to see some looked like repeating patterns, but I wasn't certain yet. So I got a call from somebody in Pennsylvania. They wanted me to do a talk there. So I thought, well, what the heck? You know, I'm doing New York State, so I might as well do a talk about Pennsylvania, and do some research there, and see if there's any similarities. And lo and behold, there was plenty of similarities.
Really?
There's things happening all over the place that are consistent with one another. So,
can you give an example?
I'm sorry, say again?
Can you give an example of something where it's consistent all over that you noticed?
Yeah. Types of sightings that are being seen over areas that are bordered by the water. For instance, Long Island Sound, New York City, loaded with sightings, right? Lake Ontario and Lake Erie, also bordering on upstate New York area, tremendous amount of sightings over there. I saw the same thing in Pennsylvania over Erie, which of course is right on Lake Erie,
right.
And Philadelphia, which is down near, I forgot the name of the bay.
Is it Delaware?
Maryland.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the Delaware Water Gap, that's up along the edge of Pennsylvania, bordering on New Jersey. But there's also a bunch of sightings there too. So
wow.
Yeah, they all related to water. At least they seem to all relate to water. And that was in the very beginning of the research that I was doing.
Do you have any theories on why it's the water? Are they using that as some type of conductor, do you think? Or do you have any theories, Pat?
Yeah, I believe that the thing about the water is that they are they have bases under the water.
Okay.
And these bases are located in quite a few different places. One is down along Florida, there off the coast of the Bahamas, and also believed that there was probably something going on in the area of Lake Erie also, because there's a tremendous amount of sightings coming off of Lake Erie, with ships being seen coming in off the lake and staying out over the land, and then returning back over to the lake and actually seeing going down in the water.
Wow.
So yeah, so that interested me enough that I thought something was going on there on a consistent basis. That got me to looking through the rest of the states in the eastern U.S. And when I put together all this research, I found out I had a whole lot of pages for a book. And so I thought, well, let me put together a book and see what I got.
Oh, so what's your book?
Well, there's, let's see here. Let's see. This is the first one.
They Are Here. East Coast UFOs, Volume 1, Thomas Conwell.
Wow.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, so that was pretty interesting, and I did some extra research on some theories on why that they were there. Why were they here, and what are they looking at?
And what is that?
And I looked at things like pollution, Native Americans, power plants, electrical generating stations, all kinds of things along these lines, and I looked for similarities there.
And did you find any?
Not exactly. There were interests, it seemed like there were interests by the UFOs in some of these areas, but I couldn't put my finger on saying absolutely, yeah, there's interest in all of those areas, and that's why they're here. I couldn't make that conclusion. I didn't have enough information.
Okay.
So I started in step 2, which was doing the central U.S. That was.
They are here. Oh, Central U.S. UFOs, Volume 2, Thomas Conwell.
Yep, that was the second one. So that was the central U.S. And I really thought that I was going to see some more commonalities. Mm-hmm. I noticed that there were some areas that were off the beaten track where there were large concentrations of UFOs.
Ooh.
I also did a map with pins in it, okay? And this map was of the entire United States. I was looking for similarities here. And again, it was very hard to pinpoint what exactly was happening. I couldn't be certain what was happening, okay? So I thought I'd continue on with my map after doing East Coast and Central U.S. Then I created my third book.
They are here, Western U.S. UFOs, Volume 3 by Thomas Conwell.
Yes. So that was the third book. And I was hoping to come up with more commonalities between areas, between types of ways that they're being seen, and things along these lines. The only commonality that I found that was absolutely positively within these areas was the water.
Yeah.
I had the same kinds of sightings along the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, and California, and mostly Southern California. And it was theorized by some other people that there's a UFO, a base of some sort off of the coast of Los Angeles.
Like San Diego, I saw a whole article where there was like an opening that looked like it could fit a saucer in it underneath San Diego.
Yeah,
it's fascinating. Yeah,
yeah, that was actually off the coast of Los Angeles in Santa Catalina Island, very, very close to that.
It's a beautiful island. I was there when I was young. Paige Ballard said Clayton Lake in New Mexico has had sightings. That's very cool.
I would not doubt that one single bit. Anywhere that there's lake, they seem to fly over the lakes and either go into the lakes, monitor the lakes, take water out of the lakes, all kinds of things that have to do with lakes. But believe me, there's a whole lot of things going on there. Well, anyhow, I went through those 3 books, did my map, and that created enough for me to talk for the next 6 years, I think. There's just a whole lot of things to talk about and some areas that were really unusual. But one of the other things that I did is when I first became a ufologist, I wrote a series of blogs about UFOs. And what these blogs refer to is if we, as a race of humans, were to want to go to their planet, what kind of problems would we have to solve?
Ooh.
Yeah, a whole lot of problems, believe me. So yeah, and these particular blogs, there was, like I said, about 35 of them. Well, I put them together in yet another book,
Going Interstellar, Problems First, Thomas Conwell.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun to put that one together, because I was able to revisit all of the blogs that I had written when I first became a ufologist, right after retirement, and I also got an opportunity to update them with more recent information, because when I wrote them, a lot of it was based on my knowledge back in early 2000.
Okay.
And a whole lot has changed since then. It's become
Really
a whole lot more advanced, let's say. Yeah, we're well along the way compared to that time.
So,
well,
okay.
No, just go ahead.
So, from what shows I've watched and talking to other people, they claim that they could connect with them telepathically, and when you're looking or wanting to speak with them, they'll come, almost like Tommy knockers, right? No, wait. If you build it, it'll come. What is that?
Field of Dreams?
Field of
Yeah,
Dreams.
that's Field of Dreams. Yeah, that has nothing to do with UFOs.
Is such a different Tommy knockers is a totally different movie. Because somebody we know keeps posting pictures of a movie he's in that has to do with the Tommy knockers. That's
okay.
Yeah. That's Stephen King, my love.
Right, my bad. So what do you feel about that? Are you just all about the data, and or do you get further into it about, talking to people about their experiences, or
okay.
Yeah.
When I became a ufologist, people came out of the woodwork to contact me and to tell me that they wanted me to tell their story to. Their story meaning their abduction stories.
Right.
And I got about 30 to 35 of those within the first 2 years, and had an opportunity to talk with these people and ask them follow-up questions. And some of those stories were pretty darn interesting. And some of them were so frightening that they bothered me significantly.
Really?
Gave me nightmares and whatever else. Yeah, I had to stop listening to people's stories after a while because they bothered me so significantly.
Oh, I understand that. That makes sense. That's got
it was pretty nasty. Some of them were very tough to hear.
Could that be because there's different races? So that's why some of them might be interested in, let's say, a nuclear power plant and water source versus another. While another might be a super aggressive kind of alien race that would be giving more of an aggressive reaction to some. I've heard there's at least 7 kinds of alien races that have visited the planet. I don't know if any of that's right. That's why I'm asking you. But I wondered if some of the experiences is because of one type of alien race and another one is more like a Care Bear huggable type. I don't know. That's my joke, but you know what I mean? What do you think?
Okay. In any of the discussions that I had with people, there was only one race they talked about taking people. The others weren't so interested.
Okay, so there is one aggressive versus the others then.
Yeah.
What was the aggressive one look like? I don't, was it a particular description that seemed to be a commonality?
Yeah, the gray aliens.
Okay.
The short ones.
The shorter ones.
The shorter ones, yeah.
Little squatty ones. They're all pissed off they're short, sorry.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way. That's possible, I guess.
Sorry, honestly, some people have different issues. It could be a height issue that causes them to have self-esteem issues.
I try to believe that they're more advanced than that, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're dealing with the same shit we are.
Well, who knows if any of them get therapy for these issues? Who knows?
Right? It's covered under their plan.
No. Well, if they're all short, then it wouldn't be a problem until they met us.
Well, that's like Sneetch's, the stars upon ours and the Dr. Seuss thing with the Sneetches and the ones who had stars. Imagine they were fine, and all of a sudden it's you're 7 feet tall and gray? Oh, We got chipped with like the Oompa Loompas of the alien race. No wonder they have complexes. That's got to be. That's me.
Okay. Yeah, there's only one race that seemed to be interested in taking people. And I think that they were interested, at least I thought that they were interested for the longest time, because they were checking up on our DNA, because they were our creators. They
Oh no.
may not have actually were involved somewhere in our development.
Would that be in line with the type of blood type that's supposed to be rare? It's a certain RH something. Is that
RH negative you're talking about?
Is that where that kind of comes from, possibly, or am I way off base on that?
I haven't seen evidence that shows that, but I haven't looked either. People swear that there's a direct correlation between those who were abducted, those who were planted here from a different race, and the RH negative. I don't know if there is. I'm just not going to say yes or no. I just don't know.
That's totally fair. I remembered something about it, and I figured I would throw it in there to see if there was any correlation from, the stuff that you've looked into,
Yeah, people swear that that's true. I am not so certain.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a new book for you.
I don't want to get into that. No.
Jess, that's a real dangerous topic for him to even try to start researching. We want him sticking around, not going missing, okay? That's part of it. And if you see Morningstar refrigerated trucks with a hearse in front, drive somewhere else. That's the truth and a bad joke. I actually had to do that. Drove right past one, and I was like, this is not good. And I just kept driving.
What?
Anyway.
What's that mean?
That's a whole other conversation for another day. So is there a certain type of ship that they all say is like a common shape, color, whatever, since it has to do with the same kind of like sized alien?
Okay. If you look at the National UFO Reporting Center and look at the kinds of shapes of ships that people are reporting, there's 50 different types of shapes.
Okay.
Now, some of them may be one particular shape, such as the disc. Okay.
Right.
Now, you take a disc and you look at it from below, and it looks like a circle. If you look at it from the side, it looks like
a sliver. Yeah.
A sliver, or possibly even a cigar shaped.
Right. Okay? Yeah.
If it is slightly tipped up, it'll look oval. Okay. Depending on who's looking at it and what they're seeing, that's going to give you different kinds of shapes of ships. I think there's probably about 7 different types. And I wrote about those in my first 3 books, and looked at the kinds of ships that were seen in various areas of the country, and how that may have changed over the years from like the 50s to the present.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a whole lot of different data there.
Wow,
that's
fascinating.
Yeah, it'll make your mind numb trying to go through all of them. It's tough stuff.
I believe it.
Yep.
I've had to do research on some interesting topics, and getting into some of the archives by itself and trying to gather all the right data can be, coffee doesn't do it. Coffee does not fix it. No. All right. So, have you ever seen any kind of UFO yourself before?
Yes. Just prior to my first book.
Okay.
And I mean, this is 2 days before the thing went to print. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My wife called my attention to something that was in the sky, so I ran out the back door. She was in the front of the house, and we have an intercom system. So I grabbed the phone, and I was out there talking with her, and I saw these orange balls of fire disappearing behind the clouds. And I said, well, they're already gone. She said, that doesn't matter. There's 2 more coming.
Oh,
well, she was looking from the front of the house, so they're coming from that way. So I ran through the house and out the front door and looked to see what she was seeing. Well, I saw several different groups of these fireballs coming through from the north to the south. They were tracking pretty much along what I would estimate to be the Hudson River.
Wow.
They were traveling down the Hudson River. And there were groups. They came through in groups of 2. So there was 2, 2, and then a single one, and then 2 and 2 again.
Wow.
And they were separated by about 2 or 3 minutes. And what they did as they were going through, as they're going through the sky, and then they changed direction. They angled upward.
Oh, wow.
And they all did exactly the same thing in exactly the same place.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
separated by time.
That's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. Now, they looked identical to each other. So it made me think, gee, I wonder if they're drones. And then I watched the way that they moved, and I thought, no, people wouldn't be flying drones at night, and that's just a little too much.
Drones can't turn like that. I discovered the hard way. Sorry.
Because these balls of fire were multiple times brighter than the moon. I mean, they were really bright. So I thought, well, it's not likely that's going to be self-powered drone.
No.
Then I thought, well, maybe there were projections. In other words, somebody was projecting it upward.
Yeah, like the bat signal.
Yeah, well, yeah. But where they were was below a cloud bank. So I thought that if they were projecting upward, there would have been
light on the cloud,
reflection off the cloud in some regard.
There
was nothing.
Wow.
There was nothing there. So I had to say, no, that can't be it either. So the only conclusion I could come to was they were just unusual. I just didn't know what they were.
The fact that it doesn't reflect off the cloud, when nature and everything in science says that anything would reflect like that, means, in my mind, it's definitely not something from our planet. Because otherwise, no matter what, that light source would have to reflect off the cloud, unless it was something, I'm going to say, unnatural, just because whatever.
Yeah.
So that by itself, for anybody who understands how any of that stuff works at all, has to have their mind blown a little bit. Plus, my first thought was like a Star Wars reference, where it was like, they're bringing the queen in. When you have to bring somebody special, there's secret security in the front and the back cars, and the really most, important things in the middle. It's like they're dropping off the queen of some planet for like a meeting. I watched Men in Black. I'm all excited about the thought.
Who knows? That's as good as of a guess as anybody could proffer. It was just unusual to me.
That is really cool.
Well, that was the first time.
Okay.
The second time, it was just prior to my second book, and I mean, again, within a couple of days.
That's epic.
At that point, I had been reading up a little bit on CE5, which is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which is mental connection with the UFO, and to ask them to appear. I was aware that people were doing that. I've never done it myself. So I was on vacation, and I was looking out over a lake. And I said, boy, this would be a great time for something to appear, because I need something for the intro to my next book, And lo and behold, there was this flash in the sky. It was bright red. I mean, a bright red flash.
Wow.
Okay. And from this flash came this white object that took off as fast as anything I've ever seen, just perfectly straight out of, and then it just disappeared because I couldn't see it anymore.
Wow.
Now, it wasn't like a bullet. You know, you figure a bullet or something like that with a flash, it would go out and then start to curve down.
Right.
It had no curve to it. It was perfectly straight for as long as it wanted to go. It was just unbelievable.
Wow.
So that's what I wrote about in the intro to the second book.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So the third book came along, and I was going into work. I was filling in, even though I had retired, and I asked again. I would sure like to see something. If you can show it to me, I would appreciate it. And I said this for about 4 straight mornings as I was driving into work. The fifth morning, I drove across the Hudson River, and I was going about 50 miles an hour. I was about ready to turn onto an interstate heading south towards work. Well, just then I saw this really bright red light over top of the power lines.
Ooh.
High voltage power lines, not the standard ones you see. Okay,
Right.
They were just hanging over there, and I thought, looked it on. I've never seen a light there, because I thought what it was the top of a tower from way out where the where the extent of where I could see was.
The horizon, yeah.
Yeah, I really thought that's what it was.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, this thing started coming towards me, and it was moving in. Do you know what a sine wave is?
Mm-mm.
Like in electricity, you see those things on up and up.
Okay.
It moved towards me just like this in a sine wave pattern, right at the car.
Wow.
And nearly hit the windshield. And as it did, it took off as fast as anything I've ever seen. Again, up into the sky.
Oh my goodness.
Just then, I had to turn left to go out onto the road.
Wow.
That was just the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Wow.
Just crazy.
And especially like for it to be in that pattern and then go straight up to the sky is another one of those that if you know anything about any of it, it wouldn't normally just do that no matter what. So,
really.
Yeah, it's lost on some people that didn't study science at all, but anybody who took some basic classes, they're like, oh my God, listening to you right now, their mind is blown. And that's why sometimes I'll bring that stuff up for anybody who wasn't able to, know any of that stuff. It's like, okay, that's really unusual, folks. That's
Right.
And the fact that in each case you had a different kind of experience makes it even more
Right. Broad.
yeah, and believable as well. It's not just like, yeah, sure. It's like that makes sense that it's not like, and then it happened again. And it's just, that's how you know, like, it's legitimate, if that makes sense in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Have you, when you were doing the correlation and the data, did you find that there were certain shaped ships that most were seen near the water? Were you correlating? Yeah. So your data collected that there are certain kinds that.
Yes. It's the people that see fireballs are the ones that are close to the water.
Oh. Okay.
For the most part. Now, the fireballs are seen all over, but not near the quantities as they are seen over the water or right up.
Hi,
to
Tim.
the water.
Hi, Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Thank you for joining us, Tim. Make sure you comment often and share a lot. So if in, let's say, the middle of America, all those centralized states, is that a completely different kind of ship that's usually seen? Is it more like a teardrop shape, or is it,
more of one kind than another?
Okay.
You see fewer of the fireballs. You see a whole lot more spheres and a whole lot more triangles.
Oh, fascinating. Okay, I know this is going to sound really crazy, but I had a flash image. cubes ever showed up? Because I know I love the whole, like, you know, life is 42 and all that, but I always wondered, like, has there been any like descriptions of actual like cube shaped ones appearing?
Yeah.
There are. Oh, those scare me. I don't know why that one scares me the most. Okay, go ahead.
I talked to somebody who had seen not a cube, but it was a rectangular shaped craft. And the girl described this to me that she was with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend said, "What's that?" Because she was driving, and she looked up and saw this enormous thing that was floating across the road right up over the treetops. She said she could have thrown something and bounced off the hill. It was that close.
Oh my God, that's scary.
And it was rectangular from her viewpoint, rectangular, and it moved across the sky really, really slowly. She had hit her brake at this point, got out of the car to look at it, and as it was finishing up, she said the shape of the thing, being rectangular this way, had something jutting out from it off of the end. So it almost looked like a letter L.
Wow, that's so creepy. And it's, you know. Okay, so I muted him so he could have his phone call. Weird moment. And can I just tell you, the freaking cube shape, like when he was talking about that, all I could see was a containment unit. Like my brain is freaking out. I've watched too many weird movies, but so long and thanks for all the fish. That movie messed my brain up. And I swear to God, like all I could think of is those containment units of like alien species, and he's back. And no worries. The whole containment unit, like sphere, square, cube, alien ships, for some reason, terrify the freak out of me over all the other ones. All I can think is they're alien containment units, like jail cells that are going across. Like,
oh wow,
that's what I see when he was talking about it. Was like almost like that kind of image, and they all freak me out. Also, I can't remember the name of the movie, but Douglas Adams wrote the books. But in that one, the first aliens that show up to like obliterate the entire planet are those little cube ships. So that one always freaks me out. I'm like, the rest of them, they have, you know, interesting whatevers. And yes, I know some of them are aggressive, but something about the cube ships, I don't know, man.
Yeah. I'm not saying that all alien races are benevolent, but I would think that most of them are. If they've come along this far, they're not likely to bother with a race of peons like us.
Unless their contracts are up. My concern is the government has contracts with them for so long.
I was just going to say that.
That once those contracts are up next year, we're all screwed.
The reason,
go ahead, yes.
The reason why I agree with that is because you said the shorter alien grays. In one of the documentaries that I was watching, that was the shorter alien grays were one of the grays that were in the Roswell crash, and that's the one that they supposedly have that video of them autopsying, a shorter gray. So if they started this agreement or a contract in the late 40s when this happened,
or before, who knows how long ago,
those were the ones that were injured, and they may feel in some way like they owe the government for keeping it under wraps or whatever the situation is. So because I don't feel like from what I study, or maybe it's just I don't want to believe that there's something evil out there. I feel like something that advanced wouldn't be. And maybe they, for an exchange of information or whatever it is, that they have a contract out, and they're the ones, and the government is the one that is asking these smaller grays to do these really scary abductions so that they can eventually control what we know about the alien race, and then in return say that they're a threat, so that they have fuel to the people. The fuel would be the people that had these terrible experiences to go ahead and be aggressive. Was that a whole mess of a
God, I love you. I know, I get exactly what you're saying, and it's, I mean, there's anything plausible. We don't, nobody has any of the answers except the government.
That was a lot of like conspiracy spewage, but that would just go with what you said, that a lot of the really scary abductions were done by the shorter race.
Because I have a height complex. I'm like, God forbid I see one. That's going to be the first thing I say. I'll be like, oh, you're mad because you're Oompa gray. I'm going to get so hurt so quick. I'm still going to say it was worth it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Wouldn't you be surprised if one of them was taller than you?
That'd be awesome. I'd be like, so I'm an Oompa Loompa human. Nice to meet you.
Well, I've heard of them being very, very tall, like
some of them
close
are
to 7 to 8 feet.
Yeah.
The grays,
Yep.
But they also had spoken about the shorter grays.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems
now the way I understood it, the shorter grays were most likely biological. I don't know if I want to call them robots, but they are created by a different race of people to do their bidding for them.
Oh.
So I don't think they give a crap about anything, because they just don't have any emotions.
Okay. All
They're
right.
pretty much robots.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Anything's possible.
So another race of people, you say? Like what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. One of the people that I interviewed about their abduction, and I don't generally talk about them because people told me things in confidence. But one of the abductions involved 2 small grays, a tall gray, and a thing that looked like a praying mantis.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that was, now I don't know if this is one group of people or multiple people working together for a particular
Cause.
a benefit, or what. I don't know. It's
the council. It's the Council of Darkness versus the Galactic Federation of Light. That's probably the correlation between the two of them. The praying mantis race is a very unfortunate, gross one. It's almost like the reptilian race, except reptilian race is another whole gamut. Have you heard a lot about that in your research?
No. In my research, nothing.
Interesting.
That's
a big topic now. Everybody, it's not 10 years ago, nobody said that word. And now everybody talks about it like, we talk about getting a tissue.
Right. In my opinion, is that they're not getting abductions from the reptilians because they're already just among us. They don't need to be abducting anybody.
Yeah.
I've often wondered, I've heard a lot of stories that they are shapeshifters, that they can turn themselves into humans, or that they have human suits, or whatever the deal is. I'd have to see that technology to believe it.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, but
actually, with all the research you've done and it doesn't pop up anywhere, it makes me wonder if that was put out there for people to be looking for a false flag versus what you should be looking for, maybe.
I would not be surprised.
Right. I mean, they're always like, look to the left. And then you're like, oh, damn it, I missed it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of crap that people are putting out now. And I don't, at least I try not to buy into much of it, unless it happens to be vetted carefully and makes a whole lot of sense.
And that's why it's so great that you literally are looking for patterns, because it's not like this one rare time in history it happened, so I'm going to claim that it's in existence. You're saying, I've looked through all the records, I've looked through this information, and, 95% happens at this or that kind of thing, versus just like, rabbit out of a hat moment. So that's one of the reasons that I think it's so wonderful we had you come on and you were willing to, is because this isn't just a random, like, I saw something, we just have to believe your word. This is like, you literally, check patterns for part of what you do for a living, which means you are well adept at looking at it versus just a random person like me. I'm not balancing nobody's checkbook, but I would give it to you and know it'd be fine. So I think that's why it's also fascinating that you've written each of these books on the different areas of the United States. Do you find that, like, there's always a lot of conversation about Washington State and Oregon with either cryptoids or UFO. Do you think
what's a cryptoid?
Bigfoot, I could be saying it wrong, but like a Bigfoot, that kind of, other than like, Loch Ness Monster, that would all fall in the same category, I believe. And I always wondered, would you think, Tom, that any of them kind of are related in any way of like alien species came down? Or do you think it's just a whole other gamut?
When I first started looking into UFOs, people came to me about Bigfoot, and they're saying that every time a Bigfoot's seen, they also see a UFO in the area, and sometimes Bigfoot creatures just disappear, and all these stories. I didn't really buy much of it initially. Okay. The more I've heard about it, the more I've heard stories of people telling me things. I have a tendency to believe now that Bigfoot is a little bit more than we bargained for.
Really?
I don't think that it's just a standard ape that's out in the woods. I thought that for the longest time. I think there's a little bit more at stake now. I would not be surprised that at least one group of them were either UFO related or interdimensional.
Interdimensional.
Yeah, they do a lot of weird things that aren't very describable,
Right. But I always think of them almost as like the Chewbacca species from Star Wars. Kind of. Like every time I've ever heard about either a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot, and then like I watch Star Wars a lot, and I'm like, and I feel like there might be a correlation between, that whole kind of like
space
interstellar species that got locked here. Maybe just to be another kind of like informant, like everybody has ambassadors, maybe it's one of those like, and then I go talk to the humans and then I go relay the information. Like, I don't know, that sounds like it could be possible. I talk to the woodland creatures and they say fire. I don't know. I don't know. Like, it just seems like there could be a different kind of interstellar dimensional creature, whatever you want to say, in either forests or lakes or, different mountains. There's always some kind of creature story that also seems to have UFO sightings. So I always wonder if maybe it's almost like mediator between species that get dropped off, almost like an ambassador. I don't know. That's my thought.
Well, anything is possible there. I don't think that Bigfoot is much of an ambassador because he goes out of his way to hide. So he's certainly not going to learn very much. And if they're on the earth to learn, then they're going to learn a whole lot more by flying over an area than they are by some hairy monsters hiding behind trees.
Unless they're going into Middle Earth to talk to those, who knows? I hear Middle Earth could be a thing with creatures, so maybe they talk to all the, the Gaia creatures, and they're like, fuck humans, I can't deal with them anymore. They made my cousin into a pelt.
I follow the belief that Bigfoot is interdimensional because they'll be tracks and then they just stop out of nowhere. There was also a show that I was watching, and they said that they never saw Bigfoot, but they've heard him. And every time they know when they're about to have one of those experiences because they smell something in the air and feel it in the air. And that would make sense to me, I guess, out of physics or scientific standpoint, that if he's walking into our dimension and then out as if it's like a sliver, a visible sliver there,
it could be an ozone.
That it would be, yeah, but it would be making either a different electricity or a charge in the air or a smell. Mm-hmm. And I, once I kind of like put that together, that is for that a phenomenon that made the most sense. And if they are, maybe they're coming over in accident because it's like so close to another realm that they inhabit. I don't know.
No, maybe.
But I do like the whole
they're just a form of Chewbacca's, and we just got the name wrong. That's all it is. They all make up. I watch a lot of Star Trek and Star Wars growing up. Can you stop?
So let me throw this out as a possibility then. When we started setting off nuclear weapons in our environment, back in the 40s, when we were testing, and of course we blew up 2 cities, and all kinds of hundreds of air bursts and whatever else, that got the attention of the UFOs, and because this got the attention of them, I would not be surprised that, because the UFOs utilize other dimensions to get here, that they may have created I guess for lack of a better word, a wrinkle in time.
Yes. Sorry.
So they're coming here. They sort of stir up the environment and create a pathway to other dimensions that is a lot thinner than it used to be.
There you go. That would make
that's my thought.
I like that. That kind of supports the interdimensional. Because what if they're even,
Yeah, I was talking to somebody, I don't remember when, and we were talking about the whole 40s and the whole whatever of it that I don't even want to think about, the disgustingness of it. And so many people have said it was the wrong thing to do for so many reasons, but also because it brought the attention of Intergalactic to say that we need to check out planet Earth. Almost like, what was it? Avengers or whatever the fuck the movie was. And it's almost the same premise. They threw it in there. It was like, oh, now that we did this, they have to come down and check our planet because now we're using weapons of this kind of level that brought their attention. And it's like, doing that brought a whole other can of worms that nobody was expecting. And all of a sudden it was like, uh-oh. And there's been a lot of people that, especially from that time period, that were young enough to be aware at all, that were saying how many crazy things that seemed to happen during then. And how things have changed so drastically from then to now, and some people have said it's because we brought the attention of other intergalactic races so prevalent on our planet that it caused not only a speed up of technology, but almost like using the planet as like a workhouse for the stuff they need. Think about how many, nuclear power plants are leaking all over the world. They're still leaking. Nobody cares. All these different sources, all the technology that has expanded so rapidly, more than most people can even really pinpoint and explain how it happened. Many people are saying it's because they kind of like decided to start using planet, which is why water sources would make sense. Ones of how many planets are dead that now they said they used to have life of water. One of the theories is that they drained each of these planets, and that's why we're having such a fight between like the Galactic Federation of Light versus these planets and species, because they're trying to drain all the resources of everybody and use humans like little slurpy meat suits. It's me. I can't help myself.
I would think that the draining of the resources, water is one of the most plentiful things in the universe. So I don't think they need our water. I don't think they need our minerals, because our planet is made up of a whole bunch of asteroids that were smashed together into one great big thing. All they need to do is go out into the asteroid belt, and they can take anything they want. Any,
why did they want
gold,
so much?
silver, whatever. They don't need our planet for resources.
I don't know. Why do they care about our planet? Why do they visit?
They care about us.
Oh, thank you.
Somebody played cutesy music at the same freaking time. Is that your side, Tom? He has Christmas music playing.
Yeah, that's it's a clock that sings.
That's amazing. That was weird freaking timing with that.
Yeah, that was
fantastic. That's how you know it's 9 o'clock, folks. So we have only a few moments left before we're ending the episode with weird Christmas music playing in the background. I love it. Hoot and a holler. But yes, discuss your book. You're about to put it up. Go ahead.
Well, all right. This is my latest book.
Earthquakes. Nope. And UFOs. Their link is not what you think. Ooh, yeah.
Really?
Talk about that.
I want to read it.
Okay, now about this book, I set out to utilize the UFO sightings that were in the National UFO Reporting Center and link them with the major earthquakes that occurred in the United States. I thought for sure that when there's a large energy release, such as a big earthquake, that it's going to attract all kinds of attention, and UFOs are going to come from all over the place and try to suck up the energy. Right. So that is the basic premise of my book.
Interesting.
That's where I started. I didn't end up there.
Ooh.
I ended up in a totally different place. But what I did was I showed all of the research and how I came to the conclusions I came to. And what I ended up doing is talking about asking some of the more important people that I know out on the internet about what their definition of awakening or ascending means.
Okay.
And I tied that in to the research that I did, because I think that is what the UFOs are doing now. They're judging our level of ascension, and they're ready to announce themselves when we reach a certain level.
Yes.
As a whole?
Yes.
As a whole.
Oh man, I don't know how long
I saw an article from NASA, what was it, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, not even, that said that they already knew aliens were here and that they've already come down, and nobody cared about the article. I was like, wait a minute, I thought we all wanted proof, and now NASA posts that they're definitely here, they come down, and like they're all gonna chill with us, and everyone ignored it. I was like, wait a minute. So
share it on your page.
I'm gonna have to look for it. I want to see if NASA.
I gotta read it.
Sometimes they post stuff and then delete it, and you're like,
I gotta read it.
I make that face about it.
Because the whole ascension thing, that's what gets me a little nervous, because I feel like there's a lot of negative, even if it's maybe reptilian, whoever, like inhabiting human bodies, and it's gonna dull the whole ascent, it's gonna dull us.
Yeah.
From ascending, I feel like, as a whole.
I don't know. I have changed,
unless they don't count them.
Well, I don't know. I have changed drastically since 2013. I'm seeing things. I'm hearing things. I'm just aware of more stuff, and that is true for a whole lot of people. At least an increasing amount of people that I've seen on the internet. Yeah. I don't doubt that that's true. What I said before, and the ascension part, I don't know that everybody has to ascend before they announce, but I think that they're looking for a certain percentage. And I think that percentage is increasing, well, probably almost weekly.
Well, I mean, as far as clearing your mind and becoming a higher being, like meditation and yoga is just mainstream now, and I feel like that will help.
That and Reiki is another one. Reiki is.
I mean, the light people that are being more aware of their. I mean, what is that now? being mindful is
Yeah.
a huge topic right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the ascension process.
Well, that's all we have time for because we can't go into that. Otherwise, we're going to go over an hour. Now,
Gotcha.
Tom, before we let you go, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been an incredible hour with you. Would you like to let everybody know where they can find your books before we sign off for the night?
Okay, the best places to contact me on Facebook, and I notice you have your Facebook thing scrolling across the bottom. That's the best place. I didn't have very much success with the web page that I had. The other option is to you can contact me on my email, which is tconwel2 at nycap.rr.com. That's tconwel2 at nycap.rr.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again, Tom. This has been absolutely wonderful.
You,
now, remember, everybody, next Tuesday, 8 p.m., join us again for another wonderful episode of Delve In, where we delve into esoteric and metaphysical and paranormal and UFO topics alike. Till next time, please stay safe, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.